All right. Good evening, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here. My name is Olufunsho Akinsanya. I am your host. I am member 001 of Rainy Day Cooperative and the president of Rainy Day Cooperative. We are a community of professionals who have come together to forge ahead together. We say that we pursue collective ambition and we lean on one another's strength to get better at the things that we do in life. Shortly before the guest speaker starts his session, we'll show you a short video of the key activities that we pursue as a cooperative. As you know, cooperative societies are self-help societies. And in that sense, we have a number of opportunities that we have over time come to focus on because of our experience as a team and our relationships that we hold in these areas. So I'm sharing the link with you. It's in the chat box whilst the video will be played. Omar, is the video ready?
It's coming up, sir.
All right. So while the video is coming up, I'd like you to share the link for this session on your status. This is an open event. As we say, Rainy Day is a city without walls. We are not a secret cult, and therefore we invite everyone to learn with us. So
Yeah, muted.
Oh, apologies. Where did you miss me? Where did you hear me last?
You were talking about us sharing the link in our status.
Oh, yes. So share it on your, yes, on your WhatsApp status, in your groups, anywhere that you think this will be of benefit to people. We welcome them because we are about collective progress. Okay, whilst the video is being sorted, I'd like to introduce our speaker for today is Mr. Fola Tanimola, and he means many things to us as Rainy Day. First of all, he's one of the founding members of Rainy Day. Secondly, he is the supervisory chairman of Rainy Day. So in line with the laws of the land, for every cooperative, well-run cooperative society, you have a management expo, which is the president, the vice president, treasurer, financial secretary, all those people that actually run the cooperative. Then you have the supervisory committee. They are the ones who watch over the activities. They're like an internal audit and control mechanisms for cooperative. And Mr. Fola Tanimola is our chairman. And I cannot begin to quantify the amount of wisdom and relationships and leverage that he has offered us as the adults in the room. I mean, on a personal note, he has also been very instrumental to my personal success. He has been handling our taxes since 2017, if I remember clearly. So if there's one person who has ensured that we took the right path, Mr. Fola is that man. And by virtue of his experience, he's an ex-banker, he's worked in multiple sectors, he has deep relationships across the government, across the three arms of the government. And so he brings to table many, many years, almost 4 decades of experience across these functions. If you were to get somebody who you are paying before you hear these things from them, I'm sure you know how much you'll be paying. But the whole ethos of communities, of cooperative communities, is for us to leverage on one another's strength to get better and to live better. Mr. Fola, it's a pleasure to welcome you this evening, and I hope that we will listen attentively. We will ask cogent questions, and our format is that 30 minutes, up to 30 minutes is for the lecture about the subject at hand, in this case, taxes and compliance in Nigeria. Then, at least 30 minutes for questions about the subject matter at hand. And then we go on with the rest of the evening. Thank you very much, and do have a great time with us. Over to you, Mr. Fola.
Thank you very much. Good evening, everybody. Hello, can you hear me?
Loud and clear, sir.
We can hear you, sir.
Okay, good evening. Okay, trust you had a very wonderful and blessed day. And
Yes, we did, sir.
it's nice coming together this Thursday evening. Yes, the president of the Rainy Day Cooperative has spoken a lot and has already given an insight into what we are about to discuss together this evening. I say discuss together because it's a collective responsibility. Tax, as it is being defined, is a compulsory levy placed on the citizens of a particular community, state, country by the government of the place so that people can pay, and such funds are being used for development within the region, state, or the place where it is being collected from. So, and as he has said, without so much, okay, it's already a known fact that a new tax regime comes to play in Nigeria this from 1st of January 2026, which the amendment to the previous tax law, which such new minor changes has repealed some of the things that operates in the previous tax laws. So this evening we try and because it's inexhaustible what we have in this, and we cannot go on taking all the tax laws. It is not, and as a matter of fact, it's not everything that is there that is actually even relevant to most of us that are here, as maybe a taxable person or either a company or individual. But we look at, we put it in to make it more better for us to understand, and for ease of using our time because of the limited time that we have. This evening we look at the company's aspect of the compliances of the tax laws. That is, as a company, which is a separate legal entity from an individual, both companies and individuals are responsible to make tax payments. So we focus mainly tonight, this evening, on the companies, and which I see as the company's compliance aspect in the tax laws. So for this purpose, I have about 10 key areas. 10 key areas where the companies, a corporate limited liability company, has to comply. 10 key areas of compliance in the tax laws. And all these compliances has consequences. Consequences is that if we are unable to make such compliances, there are penalties to be paid. And that is one major thing that I always try as much as possible to advise whoever that I come into contact with, that don't let your situation get into issue of penalties. Why don't you do the right thing at the right time so that you can avoid such payment of penalties and fines? The amount to be paid is still there. Fines is an additional. So it's better to focus on what is the payment that we have to do rather than now looking at to how we're going to pay fines again. So without me wasting so much time, like I said, we have a 10 key. I have a 10 key areas where I've noted that should be for company compliances under the new tax laws, or even in the former ones too. So I will start with the very first one, which I have here as a tax registration and tax identification number compliances. Tax identification and tax registration number compliances. Every company operating in Nigeria under the government of Nigeria is expected to have to register with the Nigerian Revenue Services. That is the NRS. That's a new name now for the which takes effect from 1st of January. Formerly, they have been known as the Federal Inland Revenue Services, FIRS, which some of us know. But now, their new name is Nigerian Revenue Services. We're expected to register our companies with this Nigerian Revenue Services and obtain a tax identification number, which is being called popularly known as a TIN, TIN. And this number is used for tracking every obligations and transactions of the company. Most of the time when we register our companies, I'm very much aware that some of us, we do company registrations, maybe probably we give it to a lawyer. We do too. Whoever that wants to register, we do help them to register company, but we do give to a lawyer. You know, you find out that maybe on your certificate of incorporation, there is they put TIN there, and the tax identity number is written there. Yes, some of these people, they generate this thing. Maybe there is an option under the platform or registration under the CAC that generating, which they click on and the thing will be generated. But oftentimes, that is not yet the conclusion of your TIN registration, because you find out that this thing, the system will generate this thing, TIN, it just generates it just randomly, and it can fall into under any of the tax offices. It might not even be close to where your company address is domicile. So it do pose a problem or an issue. So, but under the tax registration scheme, you still have to have a physical registration in a tax office Nigerian Revenue Service office that is closer or within the covers or the coverage of the environment where your business operates. Why do we have this? So that there will be an ease of you maybe getting to the tax office to make some inquiries or do one or two things. Although presently now, a lot of things have been automated on the tax registration. Apart from that physical registration that you have to submit some documents, there are statutory documents that needs to be submitted to the tax office, which should be verified, and a physical file will be opened for each for the company in the tax office where you registered. Then there is this digital or electronic tax registration that you have to conclude. That is the Tax Promax platform. The Tax Promax platform is the platform where every transactions, payments, even the company's filings, returns, and everything has to be done. If the tax promise has not yet been, the company has not yet registered under the tax promise, you have not yet started anything, because there's no way you can access or do any transaction with it without going through the tax promise. Even payments of taxes, levies, fines, and anything whatsoever that you have to do, and even the accounts for the year and everything has to be uploaded on the tax promise. So this will make the conclusion of your company's registration with the tax authorities, which is the Nigerian Revenue Services. And you can easily now begin to operate with them clearly without any issues. On the course of the discussion, we get to know some of those things that we do and how the tax promise is necessary. So for time, we'll be moving a little bit faster, so I'll be able to have enough time for any observation or questions that we need to ask. So that's just the tax. And like I said, this thing there is as consequences. If you incorporate your company, it has to be within before 3 months of incorporation. You have to notify the Nigerian Revenue Service that you have registered a company and you do due and proper registration with the Federal Revenue Services. And just as I explained, and you obtain a tax identification number. Oftentimes, a lot of people do incorporate a company, they won't do proper registration, and you go ahead and be using the name of the company to operate. If after a long time you are now coming back to, maybe by virtue of the deals that you have to do, somebody requested for your tax identification number or for your tax grant certificate of the company, you now find a name I don't have, that I have to go and register with it. If it has been so long like that, the Nigerian Revenue Service will charge penalties for late registration. So it's always advisable within a very reasonable time, once you incorporate your company, do all the registration so that you can be sure that you are free to operate, so that you won't be liable for the payment of any penalties for late registration, because Nigerian Revenue Services is a revenue generating organization. So by the statistics, they are one of the highest revenue generation organization for the country. They are one of the highest, they rank one of the highest. So it's an institution that the government is not joking with. So let's make sure that whatsoever happen, we comply with this. For those of us that are just incorporating the company, let's make sure that we do our due registration and obtain our tax clearance, tax certificate number, and do the registration of the tax promise accordingly, so that we can be able to be free from any penalty payment. Secondly, I have here companies income tax, CIT compliance. Company income tax is the tax that is payable by a company at the end of the financial year transaction and obligations. That is, when a company had after trading for a period for a year, depending on the time period where their financial year ends, so they are liable to pay certain amount of money as tax based on their taxable profits. And this company income tax, these are tax that company pays to the government on their taxable profits. That's the payment that the company pay. And presently now, the taxable, the company income tax operates is 30% of your taxable profits. And we should understand certain things that under the new tax law, the companies that are eligible for some of these payments, because the previous law that was repealed has a benchmark of 25 million revenue generation. But this has been increased now under the new tax law to 100 million. That is, if your revenue is below 100 million, you'll be free from the payment of taxes. That's just to encourage. These are being classified as a small company, so there is no all these stratified the stratified layers of the previous tax regime has been removed. There's no more stratified layers again. So it's just once you are above, the revenue is above 100 million, you are eligible to pay tax. And once you are below, you don't pay. That's a new tax law. So that's about the company income tax, and it's expected to be paid. It's a statutory responsibility of the company, and it's supposed to be paid as at when due. Number 3, we have the development levy. Under the new tax law, the development levy comes to play. It wasn't available in the previous tax law. The development levy was instituted to remove all the multiple taxes that was there in the previous tax law. The previous tax law, we have the police trust fund, we have the educational tax, and all what has not. But with the new tax law, all these things have been removed, and it's now being streamlined into just one payment, and that is the development levy, which is being placed on 4% of 4% of your accessible profit. 4% of the accessible profits of the company. So, and it's supposed to be, it's being paid alongside with the company income tax. So you pay the company income tax and you pay your 4% development levy. So these are compliances that is mandatory and statutory for any company that is operating in Nigeria, that they must pay, and it has to be paid accordingly and as agreed due. Such default has consequences. The tax authorities has the mandate to penalize companies or things that are not responding to this accordingly. So, number 4, we have the value added tax, VAT compliance, which I know that most of us, we are familiar with the value added tax, because for some of us that patronize some of these organized retail sectors, the supermarkets and all the stuff, we pay. We know that if you look at the generated receipt that are being given, you will see an amount of VAT there on whatever products that you buy is being known as the consumption tax, that is. But if you go to the open market, like the normal Isale Oja, Agege market or wherever, you are not to pay. If you buy anything there, you cannot buy tomatoes or vegetables or whatsoever from all those men, and you pay VAT. So it is being targeted onto is a way that being targeted onto the elites who have the higher disposable income. So you pay. That's for individual, but for companies too, it's being paid on services and goods and services for companies. So it's companies who do pay value added tax, and the present amount of value added tax that we pay in Nigeria now is 7.5% of your revenue. 7.5% of the revenue that is being generated by the company for that period. Now, somebody will ask that this issue of revenue, because I want to try and just use this to explain some of this thing. For some of us that are familiar with maybe, I know that a lot of us might not be familiar with accounting process and principle, but I know that some have an idea. That's why I say the taxable incomes or whatever. When you have your turnover and there is a cost of sales being removed, so the very first profit that's the revenue that's been generated by the company, and that is what the VAT is being apportioned onto before you now go to deductions of administrative expenses and other expenses by the company. So it was then that now get to tax, and that a profit before the tax is now being apportioned. So the VAT is being based on the revenue. And one thing that I want us to know here under the VAT issue is that companies or whatsoever that is that we are just an agent to the government for the collection of this VAT amounts. It is not the company's money or your own resources. It is to be remitted back to the purse of the Nigerian Revenue Services. And they place so much value on the remittance of this VAT a lot, most especially for companies. Under the registration, which I was explaining earlier on, which is number 1, that you have to register and you do your tax promise registration. It is mandatory and compulsory that every company operating in Nigeria, you do your monthly VAT returns. You remit your monthly VAT returns under the tax promise. You do this under the tax promise. You do the remittance, and there is a permissive space for you to do, probably if within the month there wasn't any trading or activities that involves the collection of a VAT, it is permissible for you to render nil returns, but returns must be remitted. There is consequences for this under the new tax law. Failure to remit your VAT returns in a month attracts a penalty of 50,000 naira under the new tax law. And it is not just like that. If you are being charged 50,000 naira for the first, maybe, okay, we are in March now. January, you didn't file your VAT returns, your monthly VAT returns. As soon as that one last is 50,000 penalty, then if it was not filed before the end of February, just as February has passed to now, that 50,000 attracts additional payment of 5,000 naira on top. So then February, if you don't file February, another 50,000. So it's just a cumulative amount like that. I was filing a returns for one company's VAT this recent day that they've already calculated this is just for within a year, or known to them that this one has already made their returns. It was about 1.3 million naira that have been charged as cumulative penalties for the year. So you can imagine that quantum of amount of money. You have your other obligations to pay, and you have to pay this, and they frown so much on this because these are sources of revenue generations for the Nigerian Revenue Services, which they don't normally joke with. So it's important we do this on retainership basis for companies that doesn't have the time or ability to do the file returns. We do it for most companies. We do it for them on retainership basis. Just pay part sum of money, and we make sure that we remit your VAT monthly VAT returns without any problem. So you won't have any issues with Nigerian Revenue Services. And again, for most of the companies, there's one opportunity that is actually there that some of us don't. Although I know it's not always easy. That's what we call input VAT and output VAT. For instance, you are a service rendering, or maybe let me use an example of a construction company that you buy materials, you buy equipment for the purpose of what you do, your business. And when you are buying such materials and in your invoice, there is VAT there that you pay for that company or for that vendor or that you buy such materials from, or your suppliers. You pay VAT. And at the end of the day, by the time you do your company's audit and revenue, you have to pay VAT to the government. The one that you pay to your vendors is being called that's the input VAT for such materials and equipment that you purchase for the purpose of carrying out your business. And the one that you are going to pay to the government at the end of the day is what we call output VAT. But the input VAT is a kind of a savings on your own part. If you can assemble all your invoices together and those VAT portions are being captured with if you genuinely buy from a very reputable vendors that you know that yes, these people they do render their own accounts to the government, to the National Revenue Services. You know, if you pay such, to them and they remit, and something is being deducted from you too, it amounts to a kind of a double taxation on your own part. But what normally happens is that if you get those invoices together, it can be is deductible from your own output VAT. So it's just the balance of whatever happens that you will pay back to the government. But you have to make sure that you have invoices from a reputable organization, not that maybe somebody that just just collect VAT is so remitting, because the Nigerian Revenue Service will still have to verify this. So that's all about the VAT. And like I said, the amount of value-added tax that is being charged now is 7.5%. So let's note that VAT compliance is very important, and there is consequences. Such consequences has even rendered a lot of companies not to even continue in business, because when the volume of default is so high, and the charges, the penalties, and it's not only the penalties that the Nigerian Revenue Service will charge, they will charge interest again on the amount that you are owing them. So the volume of such things might be so heavy, and you can imagine if you have a company that maybe you've been on a business for 5 years, even 5 years or 10 years or thereabout, or even 15 years, you be trading and you now defaulted for about 2-3 years along the line, and such volume of penalties and this thing is now heavy on you, and you now decide that I don't want to. It happens to someone that very close to me that I know. The volume of default, and even despite all the advice that was given, and the total amount of debit voucher that was raised on the company from the Nigerian Revenue Service was going to about 30 billion. So say, how will you, where will you get such money? And I said, well, this money just accumulated over the period of years. I mean that you've been doing it regularly, you won't know, you won't feel it, because it won't give a very big deep hole into your cash flow. So it's because of the fact that you allow it to accumulate. That's why it's not become so. And you can imagine a company that been operating for over 20 years. So where do you want to start from? There's something that we call intangible assets, which is the reality and the name that you have gained. So we now go back to all your vendors and customers that the name is not being used again. You have to start over again. So those are, apart from the consequences of the payment that you have to make to the government, even to the company itself, because if you default and the penalty is so much that is such a huge loss, because by the time you have to go back and you now go and register a new company and start all over again, that name has already become a household name. Even by your name alone, a lot of people are looking for you, that, oh, I've seen this company, they've done something like this before. So, but now getting a fresh name that they're just using to build such this thing again is not an easy thing. So we should be aware of that. So let's move number 5. I have withholding tax here. WHT, withholding tax, as compliances, as some of us must have been aware. Withholding tax, companies must deduct withholding tax at source. They must deduct withholding tax at source when making payments. When making payments or statutory payments to their vendors or suppliers, either on the basis of provisional fees or all such. So, and the withholding tax is expected to be remitted to the Nigerian Revenue Services. maybe some of us might have worked for some blue chips company before, or you have transaction with them that they say that okay, they are deducting withholding tax of 5% from your from total cost of the amount of this thing that you are being given is part of what compliances that companies should do. And such money is to be remitted to the Nigerian Revenue Services. And again, the withholding tax is also a kind of a savings. Is maybe in the accounting side they call it as a tax payment in advance, or company tax payment in advance. It's a kind of a savings for you or for the company. I mean, you that the withholding tax was deducted from your payments. At the end of the day, when your accounting, this thing is to be done for the year, it is obligatory for such company to write to that company that you had business with, that it should give you the receipt of that withholding tax remittance that they made to the government. So this will be attached with a covering note letter with your to the company address to the Nigerian Revenue Service office where your registration, tax promise registration is domiciled. Because tax promise registration is expected to be domiciled in each of the particular Nigerian Revenue Service offices that is very close to you or that operates within your comfort of environment. So, and the beauty of it is that the amount that you have on your withholding tax is being used to defray the company income tax that you might have to pay. So, for instance, if you have a company income tax of about let's say about 1.5 million naira to pay, and you have already had an accumulated withholding tax deductions of about 1.2 million naira that have been deducted from your money as source, which is that 1.5 million minus 1.2 million naira. So you only have just 300,000 naira payment to be made as a tax, as a company income tax. It only affects company income tax, it doesn't affect VAT. So that's about the withholding tax. And it can be transferred for the next period, for the next accounting period. What do I mean by this? I give a scenario of where your withholding tax is 1.2 million and the company income tax that you have to pay is 1.5 million, which is that your company income tax is higher than the withholding tax, which means you still have 300,000 to pay. If the situation has to be reversed, that you have your company income tax of 1.2 and your withholding tax deduction is about 1.5, which means that you don't have any company income tax to pay. So you still have a credit balance of 300,000 naira still hanging on your withholding tax. So this one can be transferred for the next accounting period. So I think we get that one. So that's about the withholding tax payment. Then number 6, you have a pay as you earn. That is called as a pay compliance. This is amount of money, tax that have been deducted from the salaries of employees of a company. That is, as the company is paying tax, so also the staffs of such company are under obligation to pay taxes. So the company has the statutory responsibility to deduct certain amount of money which must have been calculated as the individual tax payments of each staffs in the organization, and this one will be collated together and remitted to the, this time around, to the local or state inland state internal revenue services of where the company is domiciled. For instance, now for all the companies that operate in Lagos State here, you have staffs, you have to register. That's another registration that has to be done. You have to register with the Lagos State Internal Revenue Services with the number of your staffs, their salaries, structure, payroll has to be submitted. We do that for companies too. You have all the necessary documents that has to be submitted. And every year, every month, the deductible amount of tax on the salaries of each staff will be collected and paid to the Lagos State Internal Revenue Service for the people that operate in Lagos and for such other states too. And this amount of money, each individual staff will have their own payment ID too. They have their own tax identity number on the cost of the registration and everything. And every year too, the company must render returns of payee to the government of that state. For instance, most of them must have been having listened to some jingles in the that Lagos have been saying that Lagos Internal Revenue Service that you must submit your returns on or before 30th of March. There is a 3 months grace that's been given for you to submit your returns. That your company's payee returns must be submitted to the Lagos State Internal Revenue Services. It is always very important because these are things that will be used, and at the end of the day, if any staff needed the tax clearance certificate, it's based on those returns that will be looked into. That tax clearance certificate can be issued for such individual staffs. Because just as the company do obtains a tax clearance certificate, so do individuals too do have access to obtain a tax clearance certificate, because you might need this. Might be used. There are some cases where you go to the embassy, you want to present one of the required for your tax compliance, you can easily bring out your tax clearance certificate. So all this we do, and we do organize for companies. So it's another compliance level that each company must oblige with, and it is very, very important. And as you do the returns, you have a lot of other things that is associated with it. So number 7 now, you have the electronic filing and digital reporting. Electronic filing and digital reporting. Just as I explained the other time that most of the transactions under the Nigerian Revenue Service has been digitalized, and now you can do your filings online. So that is where the issue of the tax promise that I say we'll meet later is important. Tax promise is a platform that is comprising for the companies to do all their filings, reporting, payment of fees, payment of penalties, payment of all what payments that you just have to do as regards of company, and rendering of the returns, like the monthly VAT returns, you have to do it on the tax promise. And by the time your audit account is being computed in a year, you have to upload it on the tax promise. So that is where everything concerning the company's reporting and filings has to be done. And even by the time you have been issued a tax clearance certificate too, as a company, it will be generated right from the tax promise. So it's no longer you going to the tax office to pick up a hard copy of your tax transfer. No, it's been generated on the tax promise. So everything is being digitalized, and this is important and compulsory for every company to comply with, except you don't want to get your working right. So you have to comply with all this, and the maintenance of the tax promise, we do maintain such for a lot of companies. We have a lot of companies that we do assist them to do their returns monthly and to do the audit and the filings and everything. So it's important that we do comply with this. And even if there is any payment that needs to be done, before you do the payments in the make the payments in the bank to the accounts of to the designated account under the Nigerian Revenue Services, you have to generate a pay advice from the tax promise. So without the pay advice, you can't pay because it will bear the name of the company and the code, so that by the time the payment is made, it will reflect directly on your platform on the tax promise. So you can see the importance of the electronic filings and digitalization. So it is very important that we should comply with it, and every company must endeavor to make sure that we do this compliance, so that we can be able to have easy flow of our transaction and recordings. So we'll move quickly to number 8. Capital gain tax compliance. Yes, this is another task. I just have to put it because it's important that we get to know most of these things. It might not be applicable to most of us, but this is another taxes that's been charged. Is a tax charge on any disposal of any assets or equipment in the course of a year. Whatever you make, the profit, the gain make on any disposal of any assets or equipment within the year of trading, and it's even on the sales of dividends. Whatever gain you make on the government is so that you pay tax, because it is seen as an additional income coming into the purse of the company. So you pay tax on such a gain. It has to be documented, and to go alongside with it be added to your taxable incomes before the tax is being apportioned. And all these are being noted, and during the audit of the company, the accounts, all this will take into consideration, and we have, because there are some little computation that has to be done under the capital gains, the capital gain allowances that have to be done. I mean, when the issue of depreciation and all this stuff comes in, we don't have to bother ourselves with them. We just leave those on for the consultant to do. Is the job of the consultant, but it's important for you to know that you should inform your auditor so that during the course of we have one of our equipment that we dispose of. We bought the equipment for maybe 20 million naira then, but we were able to sell it for about because some of those equipment do appreciate on the course of the year or over the years, so that we are able to sell it for 30 million naira. So a gain of 10 million naira was made. So such is an additional income which should be added as part of additional income to your taxable income before the tax is being apportioned. And under the capital gain, it should be computed. So that's all about the capital gain tax. So number 9, record keeping and documentation. Record keeping and most of the on this issue is very important that we should take note. I know that most of us, especially most of us that are not accounting inclined, have come across a lot of people. I have even very close family, that are maybe probably they are into some other maybe construction, like architects or engineer or all the sorts. Most of them, they don't even bother. They felt that the way they do, since they are not accounting inclined, so most people, they just it's a company. You own a company. Your company is expected to be a separate legal entity, different from you, that is the director or the manager or the CEO of the company. That is why a company, under the Company and Allied Matters Act, that the company can be sued in its own name, and the liability the liability of the director is limited to the amount of shares that they have in the company, except where there's a joint and several suit that is filed against both the company and the directors of the company. But the company is a separate legal entity on its own. So it's important that we separate ourselves from the company. For some people that have come in contact with, that are starters, that are coming up, I always tell them that when you are starting your company, make sure that when you open your company account, separate yourself from the company. The best way for you to be able to even actually know that, yes, you are making good returns of money in your company, you can place yourself on a salary. Not because you are the CEO of the company. You register a limited liability company. You have staff that operate there. Don't let your pocket be the bank of the company. And that's what the mistake that most people do make. Don't let everything that maybe all is no. Try and make a proper simple. We do make do accounting policies for status, and we do assist even to let them set up their accounting space. And again, there are a lot of simple software packages that can be done, that can be used for, in case you can be able to afford it. We do such to install for people, and that if it's affordable for you. But if it's not, it's just a simple, this is true. Make sure that what I normally, for those that doesn't have such a luxury, try as much as that route all your transaction through your bank, through the company's bank account. So with that, the bank is already assist you to put the debit and credit, and even then let there be very proper referencing for all the transactions. Do a proper referencing so that it be written there in it. Okay, transportation, telephone, repairs of such. So let it be there. So by the time your statement is being get your statement, it even makes it easier for them to now know such monies that is applicable to expenses and the one that is not this in. And let there be a proper documentation of salaries that you pay for your staffs. So this is proper record keeping, and this thing must be made available in case, because there are occasions where the Nigerian Revenue Service, they are under sort of rights to write to the company that they want to come and do this audit, just to confirm, to verify that, okay, the report that this company has been sending, let's just see whether. So you will be able to bring to the table, let them see clearly proper accounting records. If you can afford, you can get a staff that will be your account desk that will be able to erase all these invoices I do advise some people, you can have a float, maybe for it could be a monthly float and impress account, maybe about 50,000, depending on how big your company is or the size of the, volume of obligation, things that you do. So if you have to send the staff to go to somewhere to transport this in, and hey, just raise a voucher, transport from Ikeja to Lagos Island, then let it be authorized by, maybe raised by one, then authorized by another person, so that the accountant can, or the account person that is there, that is coordinating with, send them all these. But these are primary source documents. If you don't have a case for software packages, right? These are primary source documents, and it can even be on Excel spreadsheet on your computer. You post it there. So the name of the staff is there and the amount, so that, because I know that some of our CEOs, as well as some of them here, maybe staff is going, okay, you want to go to, he just put his hand in his pocket, take 1,500, okay, go to this, you want to make photocopy, sir, okay, put your hand in your pocket. All such money is not being accounted for, and at the end of the day, that's why you just pick some money draw some money from the accounts of the company that you use for somebody is doing a naming ceremony. Oh, what can we do now? Just bring out your share, your company, just write 20,000 naira. Support it. It's so done. You won't be able to properly know whether you are actually making, because if at the end of the day, the audit is carried out, you find out that you've already eaten up most of the profits that are supposed to make from the company. So it's advisable, let there be proper record keeping, separate yourself from the company. That doesn't mean that you are not the director. Even if it is for you are going for an official DC, you have your car, write it there, fueling. They buy petrol, you collect your money, even telephone allowances. Because I know as the MD or CEO or some other senior staff in the company, they make calls on behalf of the company to clients or for service or for one or two things. So let there be such allowances. These are expenses, daily expenses or weekly expenses. You can even get an amount of money. Maybe I know in those days when I was in a bank, there is a weekly float of amount that is being given to me. By virtue of the position I want for your telephone, because at the head of operations, you have cost to call to make some calls. So there are a certain amount of money that is every week that your phone is being recharged for such obligations. So let's do something that will be much more tidier, so that you can be able to have a proper. So at the end of the day, you can get a true reflection of what your company is talking about in terms of your revenue generations. And this is very important, not only for the Nigerian Revenue Services that probably they will come up with, but even for you, you'll be able to easily be able to assess that, yes, I'm actually doing well with the running of this company. So it's important that we have such proper documentations, and we do make such a provision set up for companies, either startups or even all existing companies. We do that too as part of our services. So quickly, the 10th point that I have here is tax audit and investigations compliance. This is our own job. Tax audit and investigation compliance. It is statutory responsibility and mandatory for every company, limited liability company, that you operate fully or either way in Nigeria, under that you submit and a tax audit account, the account of the company is not an account that you, if a limited liability company, your account is not a thing that you put under the share for keep somewhere. It has to be submitted to the Nigerian Revenue Services office, and through what I was explaining the other time, through the tax promise, you upload the accounts after the auditors carried out the tax audit and investigation, so I'll be able to know the exact amount of taxes, either you are still under the cover or the threshold or not, or you have overshoot the threshold or you are above the threshold. So we should make sure to be liable for the payment of taxes and some other obligations that need to be paid. And just as I said that for the LRS, then that under the this for that within 3 months is March, as is being announced, and that people should render their returns for each financial year of a company. You have 6 months grace to submit your audit account and upload it to the tax promise or the Nigerian Revenue Services. Failing which there are consequences, penalties. The tax promise automatically charge penalties and interest. Once the period of this thing is, and the company as well as submitted or rendered, they uploaded their account. As soon as you upload it, you see a huge range of penalties and interest have already been charged. So all these things are automated. Even the VAT returns, all these are already automated on the promise. So it is important for us to be on the safe side. Let's make sure that we call in our auditors as soon as possible. By this period now, it's a rush now because everybody is trying. It's not always an easy thing to, do all this. It's not a day's job. You have to do a lot of plus and minus, make a lot of reporting and all that is not, and might not really be the only company that's available. So I know that most people, nature, we always try to wait till the 9 minutes before we start rushing. There's always the rush is already on now because this March now. You have April, May, like June, in fact, very huge rush that people. But most companies that are very meticulous and they don't want to get themselves involved in it so that they can put also behind them, which I can, I have a Space Group is one of our, they've already filed their audits for the previous year and everything is intact. So they can continue to concentrate fully on the current year's business. So please, let's take a cue from this. It's important that we do the needful and make sure that we do our audit as soon as possible so that we won't have during the battle of rushing. And Nigerian factor at times during the course of the rushing, that's when you say that the signal is this one is bad, is cannot be uploaded and things like that. There are a lot of also delays that normally comes in at times. I think it's even getting better now. In some years, there are some years that we have about 10 or thereabout accounts to be uploaded, and you cannot even get one through. And that's how time we run. And once this thing gets into the mandatory date that has not been remitted, it's already under penalty and fines. So it's always better for us to try and make A while the sun shines. Let's do this before we start putting ourselves into a rushing position. So I think with this, I've been able to give a brief explanation and overview of the 10 key areas that I felt we should concern ourselves with if we are operating a company, which I know that most of us that are on this platform, we have 1 or 2 companies. And once we have a limited liability company, it's important that we take note of all these things, 10 points. And like I said, that's our job. we do all these things for companies and outsource to us.
All right,
Do
sir.
your findings and everything. Thank you.
Thank you very much for taking your time to explain to us. I'd like us to appreciate Mr. Folataniwala for quite a breakdown. And if I may add, rule number 11, in matters of finances and tax, when you are in doubt, consult an expert. Because as with every technical issue, figuring it out by yourself can lead to a lot more in terms of damages and penalties later. Just like the example that you gave, you are supposed to remit something, you didn't do it, you assume that can a big deal. And then you are having to pay penalties later in time. And if it's penalty over something that you even earn money over now, it's a different thing.
That's
So
it.
you are going to have to pay penalties. Omori, is our video ready?
And sorry, just to add more to what you just said, I like to let us know here that
Hold on, sir, please. Let's get to the Q&A so that please hold us on your thoughts so that we get to the Q&A. Then people can ask questions and you can chip in more points. Okay, so let's spend some time, like 2 minutes, to understand what Rainy Day is about. We are playing it now.
Welcome to the Rainy Day Cooperative Investment Programs Overview. We offer 3 core programs: the Lagos Housing Program Real Estate Fund, the USD Savings Dollar Growth Program, and the Cashew Farm Agricultural Estate. Rainy Day Cooperative provides structured investment opportunities across real estate, foreign currency savings, and agriculture. Our goal is to empower Nigerians to build lasting wealth. The Lagos Housing Program is our real estate development fund. It finances housing developments and offers competitive Naira-based returns. Expect 20% to 22.5% annual ROI, with a minimum tenor of 1 year and a minimum investment of 1 million Nairas. Investment tiers start from bronze at 1 million Nairas to silver and gold at 10 million Nairas and 50 million Nairas plus, respectively, with ROIs of 20% and 22.5%. All partners receive 0 agency fees, sales commissions for referrals, and complimentary cooperative membership. The USD Long-Term Savings Program protects your savings against inflation and Naira devaluation, offering an average annual yield of 4% to 5% with a minimum lock-in of 5 years. Initial commitment is $1,000. Available plans include the Throwaway Fund and the My Pickin' Fund. Our Cashew Farm Estate, ROCFEL, in Oyo State, offers an agricultural real estate opportunity. Expect 700,000 Nairas to 1 million Nairas per acre in annual yield from year 5, with a tree lifespan of 50+ years. Various pricing plans are available. There are 2 paths to membership. Option 1 is standard membership. Register on the portal, pay the $50 fee, and access benefits immediately. Option 2 grants free membership when you invest in any of our programs. Start your investment journey today with the Lagos Housing Program, USD Savings, or the Cashew Estate. Membership is free when you invest. Visit our portal to join.
Thank you very much. So that's what we are up to at Rainy Day, and we like to have you join us. We are regulated by the Lagos State Ministry of Commerce, Cooperative Trade and Industry, and we are a compliant institution, both at the cooperative level and at the Space Cube level. My day job is being an executive director at Space Cube, and my other day job is being the president of Rainy Day. So I can tell you for free that compliance is not a joke. And I look forward to having your questions now as we come towards the end of the Q&A session. This is the A in the Q&A. So let's have our questions. If you can type, you can type. If you would like to unmute yourself and speak, 1 minute, straight to the point. Let's get it. And I would like us to be out of here by 7:45. So 30 minutes, 27 minutes from now, I'd like us to bring this program to a close. Thank you.
Hello, can I ask my question?
Go ahead, please.
Okay, thank you, sir, for that presentation. I listened keenly to understand these tasks. Yeah, so my question is just straightforward, very simple. For a company that is that's probably it has a tax promise account and it has been submitting nil, over the for a year, probably maybe due to no business or something. Yeah, and now on the tax promise is having a CIT, which is still showing processing. So I want to know the impact that is going to have, because it's been like 2 months, it's still showing processing, and for it to generate the tax clearance. So I just want to know the impact of submitting new, number one. Then number two, I want to know if you guys can render the service of the account auditing and managing of the tax promise. What are your costs or your fee like?
Okay,
So
I think I can answer that for you so that we do not spend too much time. Yes, Mr. Fola's company and his team, they render that. They've been doing, like I said earlier, I don't know if you heard me, they've been rendering that for us since 2017. And they have rendered that for us this year. I mean, Spaceship Construction, we have already closed our books for 2025, and that we have moved on that. So they can render that service. In this particular case of your tax promax showing something that is out of place, I would recommend that you speak to him privately, because from my experience, there are a gazillion reasons why it could be showing such. So, and since he's not looking at your portal with you at the moment, it's best that you speak to him one-on-one. And I've shared his contact here, 080-3551-7357. So,
please, can you come again with the number?
080, it's in the chat box.
Okay.
080-3551-7357.
Okay.
You can pick it up from the chat box and reach out to Mr. Fola. Other questions, please. Thank you.
Hi, good evening. Okay, my name is Kate. I just have one question, and it's regarding the implications of having an insurance policy, like how you need to submit an insurance policy or show that, like maybe I believe that having an life insurance policy, sorry, let me be more specific. Having a life insurance policy would reduce the amount of tax that you'd probably pay in the next year, right? So I want to know if you also help with that. Thank you.
Help in what sense, if I may get you?
Okay, so usually insurance companies have this certificate that they generate, right? That proves that an insured has been consistent in paying their premiums, right? Because there's this particular I think it's a PE calculator, or there's this calculation that is on some website. I'm not sure if it's LIRS or FIRS or something. So there's this calculation that would probably be like maybe how much you get paid, maybe like your basic pay minus maybe pension minus some other deductions from people's salaries, and then there's insurance, right? And I understand, I might be wrong, and I understand that people submit this to the tax office or something, like the insurance certificate, or like maybe when their company is doing their filings or something, they collate people's insurance, their insurance certificates or policy documents, and then calculate how much would be saved. Like instead of maybe deducting whatever percentage is agreed by the government, the deduction would reduce because of the life insurance premium that the person is paying. So I want to know if you're aware of like how this works. Thank you.
Okay. Hello. Okay, I think I heard your question. See, there are some. I think from where what you are talking about is there are some things that are, let's say, is tax deductibles. There are tax deductibles in the payment of your taxes. I think this is a thing that you have to let us know exactly. Maybe because the question that you are asking now said that you just want to know, is it actually you, or so that you have to know the history of what you are, maybe where you are working, or are you on a payroll of a company, or is your own personal company that you are operating with, that you are talking about this tax deductible instrument that will be deducted. You know, when the account is being provided for maybe a company, for instance, before after the uh, deductions of all the expenses and this before you get to the operation, and before the tax is being apportioned. So there are things that are being deducted before you now put tax this is. So which does mean that that one has already taken care of such it's being recognized that such payment is being made elsewhere for you. So it is not being charged, it is not being part of the chargeable tax chargeable income. Even for individual too, by the time there are some of the allowances that are tax deductible, even for individuals. For instance, now in the under the new tax law, although most state governments have already the federal government tax board, I think some of them have this thing already in their state tax laws before. Like house rent now, it has been moved from 20% or 500,000, whichever is lower in your house rent, which is tax deductible. So you can get across to me and let me get to know exactly what you're talking about, whether it's a personal insurance scheme that you are talking about, and whether you are working with a company. So you are talking of such being deducted before your payee taxes apportion, or is your company's tax payment. So these are two different things. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, I'll reach out to you. Thank you.
Okay.
All right. More questions, please. Jay Sterling, unmute
I
yourself.
have a
Go ahead,
question.
please.
Yeah, good evening. Please, thank you very much, sir, for this meeting so far. I wanted to know from the flyer, what caught my attention was maximizing your tax benefits. So please, can you help me with a summary of that aspect, please?
A major part of tax benefits is your tax deductibles. So your tax benefit is one, your WHT, which you have paid in advance for your company income tax. Then tax deductibles like the life insurance and all the other things that they have mentioned. It is specific to your own case. There is no general rule. Aside from the general provisions, there has to be an analysis of your own case, of what is applicable to you or your concerned entity. You can operate two businesses, for example, one in agriculture, one in oil and gas, and you are the owner of both. The tax advantages that accrue to you in oil and gas are different from, and probably less than what would accrue to you in agriculture. So I would recommend that you reach out to him directly to know what appeals to you or applies to your own unique circumstance.
All right, thank you, sir.
Please pick his phone number from the chat box. Other questions, please.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much, sir, for the session. So my question goes thus. I'm an entrepreneur, but I have side hustles, and I operate from different states within Nigeria. Like basically Southwest states. I make money from Lagos, from side hustles from Lagos, Ibadan, and other states thereabout. So I have my, what's it called, states team from Ibadan. I have Ibadan, I have Lagos. As a confused human being that I am now, where do I remit my personal income tax?
Well, the law says that wherever you spend 183 days of your time is your first place of tax responsibility. Then I will let Mr. Fala address the rest. But first of all, where do you spend 183 days? That is half of the year. Where do you spend it? You start from there. Then there are other considerations like where did you earn the money? So if you earn the money in Lagos and it is through a corporate source, they may deduct your out of your pay, which is now withholding or whatever. I think that's my first level response to you. And so we leave the rest to the experts to elaborate on.
Thank you very much, President. See, you obtain a tax team from Lagos, you obtain team from Ibadan again, and you operate from both places. Actually, I will like to just make a brief analysis. For instance, I don't know the type of business that you try to run, maybe that you pay, that you do, maybe it's services or it's maybe goods, because instead of complicating things for yourself, if your office is in Lagos and probably you have some goods or service that you render to somebody in Ibadan, things have been so easy these days. If probably it's a supply that you give to somebody in Ibadan or things like that, your base is in Lagos here. That is where your office or your operational base is. I don't think you have any need to have to obtain any TIN from, because even such services can be sent down to whoever that wants to enjoy it in Ibadan, and payments can even be made online. Except even I know people that are construction companies that you have your office in Lagos here, because you now go to maybe Ondo State to build a house for somebody in Ondo State, you know, because you are going to be there, you render services there, you now obtain Ondo State internal revenue service thing that you now want to pay tax based on no, just like he said, where your operational base is, where you are staying, and where you live your operation, you pay your taxes there, because the money that you are making is based from that source. So it's not really advisable for you to complicate issues for yourself. Although, with what the president has already explained, there are instances where some states will tell you that maybe you are working in Lagos, you live in Ogun State. That's where you reside, where your house is, and you just come to Lagos to work, that your taxes should be paid in Ogun State, because that's where you live. You see, but I've witnessed such an instance before. There was a day that I was in my office in Ikeja. I was there that 2 young men just walk into my they asked that they want to see me. What happened? They said they're from Ogun State Internal Revenue Services. I said, okay, how may I help you? He said, Ogun State, as Ogun State extended that. They said, no, what happened? They said that they want to know if I have some of my staffs here that are working, that are living in Ota or residents. I said, what about that? that is that they have this in saying that maybe such people they want to go that they can be paying taxes. They see this doesn't work like that. Have you collected taxes from people in Arepo and all this enough that are now proving to Lagos? So such things you don't get yourself. These are issues that are even still being debated even by the state authority, but you don't have to put yourself into such controversies. If you understand what I'm trying to say, because I don't understand the type of. It depends on the type of. Because if probably you have enough space in Ibadan now, yes, maybe you have a branch office in Ibadan that you operate from that. Yes, fine. Because you're operating from that place, you can equally pay your taxes there. But if your operational base is in Lagos, as you live in Lagos, you just go do services, render services in other places. You don't need to complicate issues for yourself. And the same thing goes with some of these companies. They might have their other office. If a company is presenting, that's why the issue of federal revenue is general. If a company is presenting their books of accounts, no matter the number of branches that they have, it's only one account that they will produce, and they will pay directly to the Nigerian Revenue Services. So it doesn't really matter. But the staffs, if you have staffs, yes, the staffs are eligible to pay their taxes in that state where their company is doing, sir. I think you understand what I'm trying to say. Hello?
Yes, I understand you well, sir.
Okay.
Thank you, sir. But one more thing, please.
Okay.
Is personal income tax remitted monthly or annually?
Personal income tax is remitted monthly. You pick up your pay slips or salaries every month, so you remit your personal income tax monthly.
All right, sir. Thank you.
Although if you are in a business, for instance, that is if you are under payee, pay as you earn, then you remit your personal income tax monthly. But if a business person, the type of payment status that you do is different from someone that is under employment. That is what we call self-assessment. You do a self-assessment, which is different from a payee. And a self-assessment, you can make a bullet payment of your tax due yearly. Because your money might not be coming in as maybe piecemeal, as maybe someone that is on a pay debt. For instance, maybe you are in business now, you might have a business that you are doing now, maybe it might take you for about 3 months before you finish complete the project, and you are being paid. So maybe after the in between, another one might come. Now you are still running again, taking. So at the end of the year, you make your bullet payment of your tax based on your self-assessment. You do a self. I said that okay, this is the amount of money that comes in to my hand as per revenue, and based on this, your tax we do assist in doing that. Have a relationship with the tax Lagos State Internal Revenue Tax Authority. They can compute for you, and that is exactly what is going to operate now, even in the new tax regime. You know, the regime is just starting this year. So, but from next year now, that is why they say that most your bank transactions, contrary to the opinion that people, I just have to delve into this because of question. Contrary to the things that people are carrying, that the banks will know. The bank is not a tax collector. They cannot just touch your money on tax like that. But the bank they work hand in hand with the tax authorities, so they can be able to let the tax authorities know your bank statement under the tax. I mean, statutory responsibility. You know, there are different. There are about 5 important situations where the bank can dispose of student accounts under the public interest. Yes, that one falls under it. So to the tax authorities, that you have to explain such inflows that comes to your account, what it means. That's why it is now being advised that you reference your transactions very well. there be a proper referencing. If such money is meant for a business that maybe a client paid for you, pay into your account to help him purchase an equipment or do the let it be clearly referenced so that that one will not be taken in as part of your income. So you'll be able to explain that also. So what will now be your own percent income is what will now be accessible. That is what is called the taxable income, which the tax this cannot be apportioned on. So for somebody that is in business, you might not necessarily, remit your payee monthly. But if you are under a pay, under a company that you are working, gainfully employed, your payee must be rendered monthly. I think you get it that.
Thank you so much, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
All right. Any other, as we come to the end, we have 6 minutes to go. Any other questions? Does anybody have any questions before we wrap it up for the evening? If you'd like to reach out to Mr. Fola, his number is in the chat, 080-3551-7357. Once again, this is Rainy Day Co-op. We are registered in Lagos and we have members globally where we continue to work together for our collective advancement. It's been a pleasure hosting everyone today. And if you decide to be a part of us, you are very much welcome. Whether it's our real estate program, our Lagos housing program, the cashew farm, or the USD investments, you are much welcome. If you like us to keep you abreast and you are not already on our mailing list, also drop your email address or your WhatsApp number in the comment box as we bring the program to a close. Next week, we will be going into another compliance topic and we'll be inviting another experienced professional to share on it. I'd like you to watch out for it and bring your questions, bring your friends, your families, and your foes. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And thank you everybody for your time. I hope we'll be able to comply and go with us in Jesus' name.
Amen, sir. Okay, someone just dropped their number. I'd copy your number and send to the back office so that we can take it off from there. All right, have a good one, everyone, and have a fine evening.
Bye.